To whom does God give grace? Calvinist teaches that God gives grace to whomever he chooses and that it has nothing to do with us. For instance, they would quote Romans chapter 9 verse 15 to verse 16. For he says to Moses, I will have mercy on whomever I have mercy, and I will have compassion on whomever I will have compassion. So then, it is not of him who wills, nor of him who runs, but of God who shows mercy. Yet we also read in 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 5 to 6 and James chapter 4 verse 6 that God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. Peter goes on to say that for this reason we are to humble ourselves. So which is it? Does God simply give grace to whomever he wills, independently of anything we do, or does he give grace in response to our humility? It is important to note that in Romans chapter 9 verse 15, Paul speaks of mercy, not grace. The Greek word for mercy is eleo, while the Greek word for grace is charis. The distinction between these two forms helps clarify the biblical teaching on election. Grace describes what God shows towards those who have rebelled and broken his law, whereas mercy refers to what God shows towards those who are in distress. Regardless of our situation, God shows mercy and compassion to whom he wills, and this is not based on whether a person is good enough. We all experience moments of deep distress when God intervenes in mercy. At other times, as Paul's case, we must accept that God's grace is sufficient even when he does not show mercy by delivering us from that distress. However, when it comes to sin against God, Scripture teaches that we receive grace when we humble ourselves before him, acknowledge our sin. We must humble ourselves by admitting that our own righteousness is insufficient to earn God's favor. We also receive grace when we in humility call on God for mercy in our distress, knowing that we have sinned against him. Jesus illustrates this in Luke chapter 18 verse 10 to verse 14. Two men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank you that I am not like other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as the tax collector. I fast twice a week, I give tithes of all that I possess. And the tax collector, standing afar off, would not so much as raise his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. Like and subscribe for more 2-minute biblical rebuttals.